Can I get some closure? Stay right where you are and don't come closer. If you haven't picked it up, it's over. You wanted her, so just give me what I...
Hey gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Tanek127 and welcome back to another video. And before we get into today's video, guys, as usual, let me do my shameless plugins. If you're not, make sure you're following me at the appropriate social media at Tanek127. And if you guys want more next-gen news, gameplay, and stuff like that, make sure you are liking today's video, subscribing to the channel if you are new, and ringing that silly bell so that way we all don't get boned with notifications. But what is going on, guys? In today's video, I'm here to talk about the Xbox Series S. Yes, the Series S is the way I decided to go for this next generation, and I'm going to go ahead and explain that why into the video. But the one and only complaints I do have, I want to go ahead and get out of the way when it comes to the Series S is the lack of memory. I do feel like that there needs to be a bigger version with more memory made later on. Hell, I would have rather have paid $350 or $400 for a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte version of this console rather than $300 for a 500 gigabyte version of this console. 500 gigs is what we started with last generation, and it wasn't enough back then. I don't know what made people think it was going to be enough 7 years later, even as a Game Pass machine, because, you know, that's what everyone likes to call this console, a Game Pass machine. And I'm here to tell you that, you know, it's a little bit more than that, actually a lot more. But we're going to go ahead and get into that at a later time. And the only other complaint I really have straight up is I just don't like the way this next gen launch was handled, and that's when it comes to Microsoft with the Series S and X and Sony with the PS5. I just feel like the online orders were handled like crap. A lot of the in-store orders, me personally, I went in person to pre-order mine because that's what I recommended for people to do. I feel like you have a lot more control if you go in person rather than going online, playing the lottery and trying to fight bots. That's just my personal opinion, but you know, during a pandemic, this is a time where people really are relying on gaming, and I feel like, you know, these pre-orders could have been handled just a little bit better. They should have stepped up security with purchases, you know, did something to counter these bots. Both of these companies did nothing, and that's one thing I'm going to knock Next Gen 4 straight up, and I really hope that both companies find a way to make this up to people in the future, whether that's discounted prices or, you know, special game bundles, or whether Sony and Microsoft decide to give everybody some free PS Plus or Game Pass Ultimate for such a troubled launch. But I don't know. I hope something's done to compensate people for that. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the Xbox Series S. The little brother, the low-end next-gen console. You know, the one that all these little funny tech channels come out and say, you know, it's the Game Pass machine, you know, it's not the way into next gen. It's not what you should be investing towards and stuff like that. Now, if you want my more raw, in-depth opinion thoughts on this console, I highly suggest you tune into the Talk Xbox to Me podcast. We'll be having a next gen version of that podcast up this coming Sunday. But if you're watching this video way later than that, it's Talk Xbox to Me episode 3, where I'll be talking a lot about my discussions with the Xbox Series S and even criticizing some of the critics that were discussing this console, so make sure you guys look out for that. But I've had the console for about 3 days now, and honestly, I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with this console, and I purchased the console and the 1 terabyte memory stick thing, which was about $220, and I was a bit salty about the price of that first, because I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, man, I could have just bought an X for this. But once I saw how much memory I had while buying the stick, and then realizing what this console could do, I wasn't too mad about it. Now, when you buy the console and the memory stick, you have about 1.3 gigabytes free of space, and that's more than any of the consoles on the market right now. But that's going to set you back $520. Just straight up, just being real about that. Also, this console has no disc drive, making it, you know, an all-digital machine. One reason you definitely want to invest in more memory. And I will say, you know, that's the part that I really hope changes in the future. I hope they release a bigger version of this. I would have rather paid $400 straight up for a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte version rather than, you know, just having the low entry fee of $300 just to to get into to next gen. I would have rather just, paid a little bit more and got some more memory, which is what I went ahead and did. But I hope they consider that for the future, especially with them calling this a Game Pass machine. That's what everyone wants to call it. Even if it is a Game Pass machine, right? Let me tell you something. Game Pass has a big ass variety of games. You can't make a Game Pass machine with low memory, even if it is a Game Pass machine. Like you get what I'm saying. But no, the Xbox Series S, I can say safely, hands down, is a full-on next-gen experience, and that's why I put this gameplay here in the background. This is Bright Memory, which is also going to be expanded into Bright Memory Infinite later in 2021. This is a full-on next-gen game right now, developed by one person. And it is an awesome experience to really test and showcase what your console can do. And this is straight up Bright Memory gameplay from the Xbox Series S. And I have to say, it looks phenomenal. Running at, 1080, 1440p, 60 frames per second with ray tracing fully on. This game's gorgeous. And I've got to experience, a lot of next-gen games and even backwards compatible last-gen games on the Series S. Now, one thing I do want to say here is when it comes to next gen, and I'll be showing a lot of videos on my channel of last gen games running on Series S just so people can see. The Series S, a lot of people were upset about it because, it was said that it didn't play the Series X version of backwards compatible games. Well, let me explain something to you. That's because it's not a 4K console, so you can't expect a 4K console to play backwards compatible versions of 4K games. The console just isn't built around 4K. But that does not mean you don't get enhanced versions of games. Now, what was said in the beginning was it just plays the Xbox One S version of backwards compatible games. Well, since my girl actually still has her Xbox One S, we went ahead and tested this theory ourselves, and I came to find out that that is not the case. Every single backwards compatible game you play on the Xbox Series S is enhanced. There are better resolutions, better frame rates, and better load times. You get all three of these as if you had bought an enhanced console in the first place. So you're not just getting the typical 1S version, the typical 1S 720p, 900p, whatever version of a lot of these games. I've seen a lot of games get scaled up to a solid 1080p running at a steady 60 frames per second rather than a up to 60 frames per second. Like a lot of even the console MMOs I played. I tried Neverwinter on here. I tried Bless Unleashed on here. A lot of demanding games, Black Desert Online, stuff like that. And all of them saw increased fidelities in many ways on this console. And this is just the baby version of Xbox's next-gen console. There's a lot more that went into this console than meets the eye. And the thing I hate about that is because everyone's running around with these teraflop numbers. They see that the Xbox Series X is 12 teraflops, the PS5 is 10, the Series S is 4, the Xbox One X is 6, the PS4 Pro was 4.1, and they measure these numbers the same way they used to measure bits back with the old consoles. Like, I know you guys remember how the PlayStation 1 was 32-bit, the Nintendo 64 was 64, the PS2 was 128, etc., etc., etc. Well, here's the thing. When it comes to that, teraflops don't work the way bits do. It's just counted in compute units. And if you want to be technical, right, about how powerful a 4 teraflop console can be, let me put it to you like this. Crysis Remastered supported ray tracing on the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. A PS4 Pro is a 4.1 teraflop machine stuck with a crappy Jaguar CPU. The Xbox Series S is a 4 teraflop machine with a good RDNA 2 CPU. If the PS4 Pro could handle something as demanding and powerful as Crysis Remastered with ray tracing, imagine what your Series S can do. And that's the kind of thing, I want to bring up to people and, and ask them, when you just talk that teraflop thing and, you just really use that to measure a console's power. When I tell people about the whole teraflop thing, the best thing I mention to them is a car. You can put a big teraflop, beefy engine inside of your car, but if you don't have the right intake, exhaust, and other things to support that engine, it's not going to matter. Yes, the Series S has a bit of a toned down graphics card, aka a GPU, but it still has that high seasoned CPU that the Series X has, and it's technically even a better CPU than the PlayStation 5. Now that's not meaning that the console is going to beat the PlayStation 5 graphically. Obviously not. The PS5 is just a flat out more powerful console, point blank period. But the PlayStation 5's CPU is a hybrid of RDNA 1 and 2. The Xbox Series S and X just have a straight up RDNA, full on RDNA 2 architecture CPU. And that's the thing you got to remember. Developers have not even begun to get in tune with what this console can do yet. And a indie developer, solo, just touring around, seeing how, he can get his port to run on this next gen console. These results right here on the screen are currently what he has. Now, if you think the Series S is looking good right here, I want you to imagine how games are going to look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the line when the Series S, when people really start getting in tune with the dev kit, starting to get familiar with the hardware and things like that. Just imagine how, how good the games are going to look on there. The load times, phenomenal. The graphics, beautiful, the better frame rates, just everything. And I don't even mean to brag or go crazy, but for $299, getting all these improvements on your current games and plus, having that low of an entry fee to get into next gen, it's a no-brainer deal. Like if you're on a budget or if you don't own a 4K television, like me personally, I had 4K for a while. I don't mind 4K. I don't have a problem with 4K. But I play a lot of, shooters, MMOs, RPGs, and stuff like that. A giant 4K TV just didn't do it for my gaming experience. So I went back to 32-inch and 27-inch 1080p and 1440p monitors. And this console perfectly suits my needs for that. Now, if you're rocking the big, 30, 40, 50-inch 4K or 8K television and stuff, go right on ahead and go for, the Series X. Get the Big Daddy console that's going to utilize all that. But, if you're let's say, you're a hardcore shooter guy, or, you care more about frames and resolution and stuff like that, honestly, I would recommend the Series S. But the one main thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to invest in that memory down the line. And the reason I say that, and I don't discourage people from buying the Series X, even though I'm more keen of the Series S, I don't discourage people from buying the Series X because if you buy the Series S the way I'm telling you to in this video, you're going to spend $500 either way. But I would personally just, not recommend getting this console if you have no plans on expanding the memory. Yes, that fee of $299 is nice for entry, but be ready to, to put a little bit more aside for, for accessories and things like that. That's just, my honest recommendation to it. Because if you bring this thing home and you have 300 gigabytes of space, nah. And that's me, that's a guy telling you that, as a diehard Xbox fan. I'm pretty much sucking them off all over Twitter all the time. I've been called an Xbox shill. I don't know how many times. But realistically, you're going to want to buy the memory with this console. It's whisper quiet. I mean, the fan and everything, it does feel a little bit warmer than the previous Xbox One S, and that's probably because, there's beefier hardware in here, but I haven't heard noise out of this thing at all, and that's from playing current gen games upscaled or, next gen games running at, higher fidelity and stuff like that. But honestly, guys, I would say the console is definitely worth it, and don't listen to a lot of people out there that are trying to sway you from the Series S and everything like that. If you've done any research on Microsoft, you'll know that they talk to developers regularly, seeing what they want to develop on, what they're looking forward to in consoles and stuff like that. Just listen to the basis of what everyone said. The whole last generation was held back by those Jaguar CPUs. The new RDNA 2 architecture is what has eased things up and made things better for developers. This current architecture is inside of the Xbox Series S. And as long as you know it supports that, I honestly think developing games for this thing will not be a problem. It has a lot more power than what most people can assume's in there. Don't let the teraflop numbers fool you. Don't let a lot of the biased media out there fool you and stuff like that. Try the console out for yourself. Me personally, if you got a friend that has one, or if you can try one at one of those stands in like a Walmart or a GameStop or something like that, I would recommend giving the console a try. One of those ways. Just don't be swayed off it, because you think it's just a $2.99 machine that helps you get into next gen and it's going to be discontinued later on and stuff like that. If anything, I'll put it like this: look at how the console generation went last gen. They made a less powerful version of the Xbox One. They made a more powerful version. The more powerful version is the one that just got discontinued, the Xbox One X. Now, I'm not saying the Series X would be, the discontinued console, this generation or anything like that. But keep in mind, Microsoft they're all about supporting their lower powered machines. Clearly, we've seen that with the One S, because next generation's here. And guess which console is still on store shelves? Just saying, some food for thought. But anyway, guys, let me know how y'all are feeling this video. Do you have a Series S? Do you like it? Let me know how you're feeling down in the comments below. But if y'all enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button for me. And I want to thank you all so much for watching. It's your boy, Tanek127. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Till next time, peace out. Take care.